Hi. If you are a fellow woman in midlife and lately you've been feeling different, then this video is for you. And I don't mean dramatic movie scene different. I'm talking about the quieter stuff, the stuff that sneaks up on you. Like one day you realize that your patience is just completely gone. The clothes you used to love suddenly feel off. Conversations feel different. Your priorities shift. And you're sitting there thinking, wait a second, what is happening to me? Am I becoming difficult? Am I losing myself? And I want to tell you something that I wish someone had told me earlier when I was in my 40s, that you are not losing yourself at all. You're actually becoming more of yourself than you've ever been. Because this midlife reinvention, it usually doesn't show up with fireworks. It's quieter than that. It happens internally first. It's a slow process, but it's noticeable. Until one day you look back and you think, I am not the same woman I was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And you're not. So today I want to talk about 5 signs that this reinvention is happening to you, because I think a lot of us are going through this and we're wondering if we are just, losing our minds. And we're not. We're just becoming in this next phase of our life. So sign number 1, you have zero tolerance for things that feel off. This one caught me a little off guard because at first it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like constant irritation. Like, why am I annoyed at everything lately? Why does answering this text just feel exhausting? Why am I sitting in conversations thinking, I would literally rather be home right now? I swear there comes a point in time when you start wondering if you're just becoming a grumpy old woman. But I don't think that's what it is. I think our internal compass just gets more precise as we get older. Things that we used to tolerate because we were surviving, keeping the peace, people pleasing, raising kids, building careers, they suddenly start feeling heavier. And not because we're angry, but because we're clearer. The relationship dynamic that you've ignored for years, the obligations that you always said yes to, the version of yourself that you've been performing because everyone expects it. Suddenly your soul's like, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. And that's not you becoming difficult. That is alignment. Embrace that. Sign number 2, you suddenly want to simplify everything. Tell me why so many of us hit midlife and suddenly we'll want to throw out half of our closet, unsubscribe from every email list on earth, and disappear for 3 days just by ourselves with a good book. Seriously. We start wanting less noise, less chaos, less stuff, less performance. And at first, I thought, am I just overwhelmed? And maybe that's true. Maybe sometimes it can be an overwhelming thing, but I think something else is happening too. For so much of our lives, we were building, right? We had more responsibilities, more commitments, more identities, more expectations. We were adding. And then midlife shows up and suddenly something inside says, okay, but what actually matters? And I think that happens because, our kids grow up, they go off to school, we become empty nesters. That job that you've been climbing the corporate ladder or whatever levels out, right? You're in a pretty high position. And so you have an opportunity to gain clarity because you're not surviving through it and building through it. So these obligations and things start to feel heavy, and you realize that not everything deserves your access anymore. And honestly, that's wisdom. I know I found for me when I hit this point in my life that I was a lot more calm. I felt a lot more at peace and clear instead of being in this frenetic chaos pace anymore, right? I could just calm down and settle into what was truly fulfilling for me. Sign number 3, you need less validation. And this is a big one, right? Somewhere along the way, that shift starts to happen, and usually it's in midlife. You stop asking, do they approve? And you start asking, do I approve? And that is huge because a lot of us spent decades shaping ourselves around other people's comfort, other people's expectations, other people's opinions. We over-explained ourselves. We second-guessed ourselves. We wondered if people were upset. We wondered if people liked us. We wondered if we were doing enough. And then one day, you just say no without writing a 3-paragraph explanation for it. You buy something because you love it. And if you're not doing this, start doing it because I know that you're feeling it. If you've hit midlife, you are feeling these things. You make a decision and you don't poll 10 people first. That was huge for me. I always needed external validation on decisions that I made in my life. You start trusting yourself. Not perfectly, but more than you did before. And if you're going through your Chiron return, I talk a lot about that on this channel. This can feel especially intense because so many Chiron wounds revolve around not feeling like you're enough, right? Not feeling chosen, not feeling seen. But as healing starts integrating into your life, that need for outside validation gets a lot quieter. And honestly, that kind of freedom changes everything. Sign number 4, you want your outside to match your inside. Okay, can we talk about the random urge to reinvent your entire existence in midlife? Because suddenly you want different clothes, different hair, different makeup, different spaces. You start looking around thinking, does any of this actually feel like me anymore? And I don't think this is a midlife crisis like they like to frame it. I think it's integration. Because when something shifts internally, your outside naturally wants to catch up with it. And I think a lot of women panic here because everyone starts saying, like I said, oh no, it's a midlife crisis. She's lost her mind. No, that's not what's happening. You're finally becoming visible to yourself because all of those roles, like I said before, that you've been fulfilling are not necessary anymore, right? Your kids are growing up, the job's leveling out, all of those things. So you have a chance to finally ask, if I stopped dressing for everyone else, what would I choose? If I stopped shrinking, who would I become? You don't owe anyone the version of you that they've gotten used to. And that matters. So this naturally leads into sign number 5. You need more autonomy. This is a big one. You start wanting ownership over your life again, your time, your energy, your choices. You start realizing how many things you've done because you thought you were supposed to. And suddenly something inside again says no. And it's not angry, it's not dramatic, it's just no. You want meaningful work. You want to be in relationships where you are seen. You want your time that actually belongs to you. You stop volunteering for emotional labor that you never should have had to carry in the first place. And you stop automatically putting yourself last. And if you're in a Chiron return, or honestly just moving in through midlife in general, this makes complete sense because I think we reach a point where we stop asking permission to take up space. We stop processing who we are and we just start living it. So here's what I want us to take away from all of this. Midlife, this reinvention that we go through, it isn't always loud. Sometimes it's incredibly quiet. It's subtle, internal. It's slowly realizing, I don't want that anymore. I don't need that anymore. This doesn't fit anymore. And that's not you losing yourself. That's you finding yourself. You have less tolerance for misalignment in this phase of your life. You want simplicity. You need less validation. You want your outside to reflect your insides. You're claiming your autonomy. And these are not signs that something's wrong or that you're losing it. These are signs that things are going right for you in this next phase of our lives in midlife. So if you found yourself somewhere in this video and you nodded and had one of those, wait, this is me moments, tell me in the comments, leave something specific in there that's happening to you. Because I think so many of us are going through this more than we realize because we don't always talk about it. And this midlife ascension, this is a place where we stop feeling like we don't have to say the things that we're all actually feeling collectively, right? We're all becoming through this next transition of life. And this is a space for us to be honest and real about that. This is our community, our midlife woman community, where we're real and we embrace this next chapter of life. So if this resonates with you, please subscribe, follow along with me. We're in it together.